Hey guys, so today we're going to walk through a really basic tutorial on how to get set up with using TransactionKit on Flare. So today I've created a very basic smart contract which uses Flare's FTSO. So this is essentially their price oracle. So we've got a function here which is get token price way, which returns price, timestamp, and decimals. This is actually, I followed their tutorial directly from this, which was really good. And then I've added another function here called save token price way. Essentially what this does is just gonna save the current price, timestamp, and decimals into a mapping we have here in the contract. And I'll show that with test ETH. So we're gonna be showing how to do that within TransactionKit. We have the code here, which is on the Etherspot docs, which will be linked in the description of this video. And we're also going to have a code sandbox linked here if you want to just fork it and get going straight away. So yeah, jumping right into it, we have a sandbox here. So this is just a fresh sandbox I've created. The only things I've added are the dependencies, which is Etherspot TransactionKit and Ether's version 5.4.0. If you're using Ethers with TransactionKits, we need to use this version because it's just currently the version we currently support with TransactionKit. So we're going to make changes to two files here, just index.js and app.js. So because I already have the code here in this tutorial, I'm just going to copy this in, and then I'm going to walk through it. Okay, so on index.js, we're not really making too many changes. One thing, we're just going to have to import this Etherspot TransactionKit, and then for the purposes of this demo, we're also going to use Ethers. So here, we're using Ethers to generate a random key-based wallet on the page load. This is because for Etherspot's TransactionKit and Etherspot's SDK in general, we need to pass in what we call a provider. So this provider is it's a key-based wallet which acts as a owner for the smart contract account that we're going to create using Etherspot. So for the purpose of this demo, using a random wallet is fine, just because we can show how it works. But for a Flare app you might be creating, you might want to pass in, have the user log in with MetaMask, or log in via social logins so they can have the same consistent login every time. So yeah, all we need to do is in our render function, wrap our app within this TransactionKit, pass in the provider as we've done here, which is the private key from the random wallet we've just created. And then yeah, our app is like supercharged with Etherspot's TransactionKit, and we're ready to look into what we can do with that. So for app.js, once again, I'm just going to copy the code over here, and then I'll show you how to interact with our smart contract. So by the way, the smart contract, I already have it deployed on Costin2, Flare's test network. So which means we're going to be able to use TransactionKit here just to interact with it directly. Walking through the code here, start with a couple of imports here. We've got batches, Etherspot batches, batch, and contract transaction. I'll get to those in a minute later in the code to tell what they do. We've got use Etherspot transaction and use wallet address. So actually, let's clean up this code a little bit. We don't need these. Okay, so estimate and send I'll actually also get to in a minute. For use wallet address here, you can see we're passing an Etherspot prime and the chain ID of Costin2, which is 114. So what this does is this gets us this address here. This is our Etherspot smart wallet address, and this is created based off of the key-based wallet that we've passed in. So how do we actually interact with our smart contract? With every TransactionKit transaction, we need three tags: this Etherspot batches tag, this Etherspot batch, and then within this batch, we can put a number of transactions. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're only going to do one, and it's one Etherspot contract transaction. So you can see the different parameters that we're using here. We have contract address. This is the address of the contract that I've deployed on Costin2. The ABI here of the function that we want to call, which is this save token price way. which I can show you here, is this function here, which we said we're gonna call to save a price, a timestamp, and decimals to the blockchain. The method name, which I said is here, and then params. This is something we can actually make dynamic. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave it as static, just to simplify things. But yeah, you within this batch tag, we can add a number of transactions, as many transactions as we want. Provided the gas limit per chain. As you can see here, we're using 114, which I said before was costing 2. So yeah, we have this Etherspot contract account created. So it's actually live on Costin. It's not deployed yet though. It will get deployed in our first transaction. You can see here it's a valid address, 0 tokens, no transactions. So the first thing we're going to do is, because we want to use this contract address to call this transaction, we're just going to fund it. We're just going to use Flare's official faucet to do this. Go through the captcha real quick. Send 100 Flare to this address. Okay, let's check it. Nice. I really like that the way the Flare Explorer automatically updates without having to refresh the page. It's super nice. Okay, so now we have this address funded, and we want to call this save token price way. We want to save test ETH. So if we go back to the contract real quick in Remix, we can see our test ETH has no value saved here yet. So hopefully when I call this transaction, it'll save the price, the timestamp, and the decimals from Flare's Oracle into our contract. So two things we want to do here. So we're going to click estimate and then send. So this is the hooks I was talking about earlier, estimate and send. Essentially what these do is they estimate everything that's within these batches, works out the price for it. In your real app, you can return this to your user if you want. And then send will send the transaction based off of the gas price that's worked out from estimate. So we're going to go ahead and do this now. In this step, there's not actually any feedback that it's happening or not, but we can go over to our internal transactions on our contract, or our Etherspot smart contract account here. And we'll see if this appears. We have to refresh. Okay, cool. So, yep, that looks correct. Yeah, as we can see here, the transaction has been sent to the entry point contract. So, hopefully, the transaction has been executed correctly by the entry point. And we can confirm this by going over to token prices. And we wanted this test ETH to be saved now, so we can check and see if that is. And there we go. We can see the transaction is executed correctly, and our test ETH has been saved into our smart contract on Flare. And that's it. That's a really, really basic tutorial showing you how to interact with the contract on Flare. If you want to do a lot more with this, you can go to our docs here, and you can go to TransactionKit. There's some more examples here, a staking example on how to use our paymaster, and then of course documents here on how to use all the components and all the hooks. And if you need any more help, just contact us on Discord or Telegram, and we can help you out with building whatever use cases you want.